Hi breastfeeding mamas, welcome back. So let's talk about 3 ways you can change how you breastfeed to help your newborn gain weight. Now, if you're the mum of a newborn and you're breastfeeding, that number on the scales is like the be all and end all with everything. And sometimes it feels like health professionals focus so much on it and it creates so much anxiety for parents if their baby's not gaining weight. So here's 3 things you can do, really easy changes to how you're breastfeeding that's going to help your baby to take more milk and in turn help your body to then get the signal to produce more milk. So the first thing that you can do is to switch sides more frequently. Now, I know, don't shoot me, your midwife, your health nurse, your pediatrician has said to you, your baby needs to finish one breast, they need to get to the good milk. I will probably at some point do a whole video on this whole fore milk, hind milk thing, but here's the simple reality for you. Your baby needs to stay on one breast while they are actively and efficiently feeding from that breast. There is no point your baby staying on one side for 45 minutes if they're sleeping when we're talking about a little newborn baby. Now, I will link down below my video on how to tell if your baby is effectively feeding. I definitely suggest you go and watch that so you know how to assess your baby's sucking patterns. But let me tell you this, if you've got a little one who is not gaining weight or who has lost too much weight, it is much more productive for your baby to change sides more frequently, to go into a fresh breast with a letdown and a quicker, easier flow of milk than it is to stay on one side trying to get to the fatty milk while your baby's actually sleeping and not feeding efficiently. So that is my first tip to you. Switch sides more frequently. Put baby onto one breast, leave them there while they are actively sucking and swallowing. And once again, check out that video down below for what to look for. And then when they've stopped, take them off, change their nappy to wake them up, put them on the other side. If need be, repeat the same process. So you might go back to the first breast and then back to that second breast again. So your baby might have 3 or 4 boobs per feed. Don't worry about how long they're on, look at how effectively they're sucking. My second tip for you is to do something called breast compressions, but it's really helpful for helping your baby to get more milk without having to expend any extra energy to do it. So for little babies, premature babies, or those who aren't gaining weight, works brilliantly. Here's what you need to do. So while your baby's feeding, use whichever hand you've got free. Doesn't matter which hand, which angle, what you're doing. And what you want to do is use your hand in a really big C shape, right back around the widest part of your breast. Now this is going to be more effective and it's also going to help make sure that we're not actually pulling breast out of baby's mouth and affecting their latch while you're doing it. So you want to place that C shape around the widest part of your breast. Squeeze in really firmly, hold for about 10 seconds, let go, and then squeeze again. Now just go as firmly as is comfortable for you. We don't want you to hurt yourself, but just doing those very slow, firm squeezes, this puts manual pressure on the milk duct. So this mimics what happens when your body has a letdown, when those muscles squeeze the milk ducts. We're putting manual pressure on them, which helps to get more milk to flow. So this is going to make it easier for your baby to take more milk, and this is also really good if your baby is falling asleep and stopping sucking, because this is going to get more milk to go into their mouth, which will trigger that sucking reflex again. So you can use breast compressions throughout the entire feed. It's not going to do any harm. It's only going to help your baby take more milk. And remember, the more milk your baby takes out, the more your body is going to produce in response. And the last thing that you want to do if your baby is slow to gain weight, struggling, sleepy at the breast, is correct the latch. It makes a big difference as to how effectively your baby feeds, depending on how deeply they're latched. Most of us think of a shallow latch as being associated with pain, and a lot of mums presume if it's not hurting them, that their baby's latch is fine. But some mums won't feel pain when their baby's got a shallow latch. But here's what happens. If your baby has a shallow latch and they just have nipple in their mouth, that stimulation of the nipple will trigger the letdown, so that will get that milk to flow. But once that letdown slows down after the first few minutes, that's when your baby's going to start struggling, because their tongue and their jaw aren't actually massaging and milking the breasts right back where those milk ducts are. That's why we want your baby to have a really deep latch, because then as they're sucking, their tongue and their jaw is physically putting pressure on those milk ducts. Getting a deeper latch and a better seal around your baby's mouth also helps with your baby creating that vacuum in their mouth, which is a really key part of them being able to get the milk out. So if your baby is slow to gain weight or sleepy at the breast or has lost too much weight in those first few days, don't panic straight away and think that you've got to supplement with express milk or formula. For some babies, changing how we feed them can make a really big difference. The last thing that I just want to share when it comes to babies who are struggling with their weight is make sure you're feeding your baby frequently. We would usually say at least every 3 hours from the beginning of one feed to the beginning of another. Try not to let them go longer than that. Of course, if your baby waits more frequently than that, then absolutely feed them on demand. If you'd like to know more about how to correct your baby's latch, then I will leave that video linked in down below for my #1 amazing latching technique that really helps to get that deeper, more efficient latch. And I'll also leave a link down below for you to have a look at my video on assessing your baby's sucking patterns so you can tell when your baby is sucking and feeding efficiently.